Hey folks, just a heads up that this particular episode deals with child abuse. Hi, welcome to the Inclusive Storytelling Podcast. I'm your host, Ashwini Prasad, and if you are interested in bringing more belonging and inclusion to the entertainment industry, feel free to connect with me and let's talk. I'm at theinclusivescreenwriter.com, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at The Inclusive Screenwriter. The Fultz sisters, also known as the Fultz Quads, were the first identical black quadruplets in written record in the United States. They were born on May 23, 1946, and their father was a sharecropper and their mother was deaf and did not speak. Their family was poor, and they also had another 6 children on a farm. So the sisters were delivered prematurely, and they were very small, and they were delivered by a white doctor and a black nurse who was named Margaret Ware. Now, the little sisters, they were named by their delivering doctor, Mary Louise, Mary Ann, Mary Alice, and Mary Catherine. This was all after the family members of the delivering doctor. Unfortunately, the doctor took advantage of the babies and of the family. First, he experimented on the babies. He injected them with dangerously high amounts of vitamin C. And you should look up medical racism because this is just one example throughout history of medical racism. Now, the delivering doctor continued his exploitation of the family and the little girls. He went ahead and signed a baby formula endorsement deal with Pet Milk on the family's behalf and the baby's behalf. So what happened is Pet Milk went ahead and launched a campaign that convinced black mothers that their formula was superior to breast milk and made record-breaking profits. Now, the Fultz Quads mother remained in poverty, and the girls were given some amount of money. The medical bills were paid for. There was an in-home nurse. There was some items for the farm. There was a house. And the girls were given $350 a month for their care. So some folks might say, well, that was quite a bit of compensation for being the face of Pet Milk. But when you contrast what happened to the Fultz Quads, unlike their white counterparts who were the Dion quintuplets, they received $1 million in a trust fund at the age of 7. Now these girls were paid scraps. In addition, a lot of the girls died very early, and there's speculation it's because of what happened to them and the experimentation when they were babies. Mary Louise passed away at 45, Mary Ann at 49, Mary Alice at 55, and then lastly, Mary Catherine at 72. Charlotte Ray was the first U.S. female black lawyer. Now, Charlotte was raised in a progressive family, and she knew education was the key to her dream of becoming a lawyer. Her father, Charles Bennett Ray, was an abolitionist and clergyman who knew the value of education and made sure his daughter got a good education. And he made sure that she was in one of the schools that would teach young black women. Now, the school that Charlotte went to was focused on training teachers, and she went on to enroll into Howard University as a teacher trainee. Now, because Howard didn't discriminate on any basis, she was able to take law classes. And even though she knew that women weren't allowed on the bar in the District of Columbia in the United States where she wanted to practice, but she took the bar exams and applied anyway. Now, historians aren't sure how, but she was able to become Howard's first black woman legal graduate, and she was just a handful of women who practiced law in 1872. Unfortunately, Charlotte had to close her practice due to racism and misogyny, and she went on to become a public school teacher. Aletha Gibson was a U.S. American tennis player and professional golfer. She was one of the first black athletes to do international tennis. In 1956, she became the first black person to win a Grand Slam title, the French Championships. In the following year, she won both Wimbledon and the U.S. Nationals, which are the precursor to the U.S. Open. And she was voted Female Athlete of the Year in 1958 by the Associated Press. Now, throughout her career, she won 11 Grand Slam tournaments, 5 singles titles, 5 doubles titles, and 1 mixed doubles title. She was inducted to the International Tennis Hall of Fame, as well as the International Women's Sports Hall of Fame. Now, Bob Ryland, who coached Venus and Serena Williams, said that Gibson was one of the greatest players who ever lived, and he thought that she would beat the Williams sisters. In the early 60s, Aletha also became the first black player to compete in the Women's Professional Golf Tour. Now, Aletha Gibson has been compared to Jackie Robinson and what Jackie Robinson faced in his career in sports. And her road was definitely a challenging one, but she was also an inspiration. Thanks so much for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, download, and leave a review. And be sure to connect with me at The Inclusive Screenwriter.